There'll be days like this.
Days like this might be slipping and sliding on your way to the office or work or the gym or school or wherever you're going this morning. Maybe you're going to Meijer, where you can get more of the things you want most, more local produce, more home decor, more free prescriptions, and more importantly, you get it all for less at Meijer. And I know they're doing the best they can in the supply chain quagmire that we're having, but Thanksgiving dinner will be a little more expensive from what we understand. And well, everything is, including gas prices. And so that's why you're hearing a lot of squawking from Washington, D.C., and a lot of hooting and hollering, including an 8-hour speech from the GOP leader, Kevin McCarthy. But there's been some talk, too, that I've been extremely interested in by the former New Jersey governor, Chris Christie, who has from now and again, made noise about running for president. He was a candidate for a while. And then he was with Trump, and then he wasn't with Trump. And he's a compelling figure, interesting, good speaker, all that stuff. And he was on Axios because he's got a new book called Republican Rescue. And let me just take a listen to the tenor of the former governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie.
You said that the elections for Republicans need to be about the future, not the grievances of the past. Donald Trump put out a statement saying you've gotten absolutely massacred.
Yeah, well, look, I've made the conscious decision, Mike, that I want to spend my time combating the policies of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and trying to help Republicans win governorships and the House and the Senate in 2022. This is not an argument that I'll walk away from.
And then he went for it. He said, everybody remembers that Chris left New Jersey with a less than 9% approval rating. What do you make of him saying you had a less than 9% approval rating?
Look, I'm not going to get into a back and forth with Donald Trump, but what I will say is this. When I ran for re-election in 2013, I got 60% of the vote. When he ran for re-election, he lost to Joe Biden. I'm happy to have that comparison stand up because that's the one that really matters.
Okay, so he wasn't going to have a back and forth, but he did. Dave Dulio, the director of the Center for Civic Engagement at Oakland University in Rochester, Michigan, and the professor in the political science department. I guess, first of all, how are you?
I'm well, Michael Patrick. How are you?
Second of all, I'm all right. I'm curious. Is Chris Christie staking out a position for himself to run for president, or with this book and with these appearances, is he sort of breaking the ice, maybe clearing the field for other Republicans who might want to say, he's right, we got to get out of this Trump shadow?
Well, I think that Chris Christie certainly could be looking at another run for the White House. It wouldn't be the first time that somebody has run previously and then throws their hat in the ring again. It certainly could be a crowded field in 2024. But at the same time, Chris Christie, as you mentioned earlier, he's a good politician. He knows maybe when the writing's on the wall, and given that he didn't do too well the last time he ran for president.
I'm curious about that. And also, what do you make of his theory that, he seems to fly in the face of what Ronna Romney McDaniel is saying, the chair of the Republican National Committee from here in Michigan, that the Republican Party can't win the midterms without DJT?
Well, I think this really gets at the heart of the battle and the struggle for the Republican Party that's going to take place in the next year or so, and maybe beyond. But at the end of the day, I think, frankly, they're both right. The Republicans have a chance to take back control of both the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate in 2022 elections. History tells us that, because the party of the president historically does bad during midterm elections. But I think Christie is right, and I think McDaniel is right. And I say that because how important Donald Trump is will depend on the district or state that we're talking about. For instance, over here in Southeast Michigan, Donald Trump unequivocally helps in districts in Macomb County. He doesn't help Republicans in districts that are in Oakland County. So it depends on the kind of district. It depends on the political dynamics in those districts, and that will extend across the state. So in some places, he'll be a help. In some places, he'll be a hindrance.
And then how does it all end? I mean, at what point does Donald Trump become irrelevant, if ever?
Well, we'll see. Another test of this is going to be the endorsements that he makes and has made already this cycle. You know, he's dipped his toe into the waters of Michigan politics, making a number of endorsements in races across our state. We'll see come primary day in 2022 if his endorsed primary candidates that maybe beat a sitting incumbent or they're in open seat races, if they emerge from these primaries, that'll tell us the strength of the Trump brand and Trump influence here in Michigan, and that's something to watch nationwide.
Supposedly, Donald Trump called Ronna McDaniel and said, I could create my own party and leave the GOP. Could he do that just quickly, if you would? And part two is, could there be somebody who could emerge who is Trump-like, who's maybe more reasonable, that could lead the Republican Party? And is that the governor of Florida?
Well, I think that he could certainly create his own political party. It would fail. When I say that, I mean it would just hand the presidency to the whoever runs for the Democrats in 2024. And I think that if the Republicans can find somebody who has sort of carries through the Trump policies without maybe the Trump baggage that a lot of folks don't want to see, that might be a real key recipe to success in 2024.
We'll continue with Dave Dulio, the director for the Center of Civic Engagement, Oakland University Political Science Department, MPS. You're listening to Michael Patrick Shields. That's me, and I'm glad you are. Let's listen, though, to Dave Dulio, the director for Civic Engagement, Oakland University in Rochester, Michigan. He's a professor there in the Political Science Department. Good morning. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Do you think, I was listening yesterday to the idea that Joe Biden, who came to Michigan recently, again, has been saying that he will run for re-election. Do you think that's a realistic thing for him to do? As I understand it, if my math isn't fuzzy, he would be 82 at the time.
Well, I believe he's about to turn 79, and certainly age will be an issue, right? I mean, it's something that whether Republicans or even some Democrats start to think about. He said very early in his presidency, very early this year, that he would in fact run for re-election. Although I think it's really interesting to sort of watch and listen to some of it's really the rumor mill, right? The rumor mill churn in Washington D.C. and hear some of the things that one could take away as maybe he won't run or maybe he shouldn't run. I think that will be answered probably shortly after the 2022 cycle winds down.
Do you think with his approval rating where it is right now, very low, that if the Democrats had a primary against Joe Biden, that would be good for the party or ugly to watch a sitting president savaged maybe by younger, vibrant, hungry people?
I think it would be a tough thing for Democrats to go through. And I also think, too, that it might be maybe from different folks that would get into it, right? I mean, a lot of the rising stars in the Democratic Party or folks the Democrats might want to see take that next step, somebody like Pete Buttigieg, even though there's rumors of sort of disagreement within the administration. Kamala Harris, as the sitting vice president, would be somebody who, if history would tell us, would be primed to take over for Biden, right? But that would be a really awkward primary debate stage if you had your sitting vice president and sitting cabinet secretary for transportation challenging the sitting president.
You know what? It'd be awesome for the radio show, though, Dave.
When you need to take a break from the sun, head over to Bet Rivers Online Casino to take advantage of a hot summer special. New players can use the code SUMMER50 to get $50 in free play instantly with a first deposit of only $25. That code again is SUMMER50. It only takes a minute to sign up, and the award-winning customer support team is on 24/7 to help. Download the Bet Rivers Android app or go to betrivers.com today and play with a winner.
Must be 21. Playable in Michigan only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-270-7117.
Michigan, this is the story of Ian.
I was given a second chance on life when I received a kidney transplant. It allowed me to get back to my daily routine, and then COVID hit. So when I heard about the vaccine, I was so excited to get it so that I could be protected, but I am one of the thousands of Michiganders who is unable to build up immunity. My hope is that everyone can live their lives to the fullest because we are all protected.
Find your vaccine at michigan.gov/COVID vaccine. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.